You know what's funny?
What's that?
Our setup, like, I think you could convince somebody that we're in the same room. Like, maybe we'd have to adjust it a little bit, but there is kind of a sense like,
oh my God. Like maybe we're in one of those studios with a big table, right? And I'm at one end of it and you're at the other end of it. And,
and someone's like, in episode 21, he said he moved to a different state, so I don't think that they're in the same room.
I wish people talked about our episode. I want people to theorize. Yeah, we will. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think we're already there. They're just not posting it, They're thinking it, talking about it with their friends.
They're afraid to share what they know.
Yeah. Mitchell, you didn't respond to my text when I asked you about what we were going to do for the episode today. So I'd like to point that out.
I did.
Yeah, no, you did not. Did you? So, because this is our Thanksgiving episode. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. By the way, welcome to the Neon Valley podcast.
I was going to say, you never introduced. Hey, everybody. How's it going?
I recorded I've been recording for 10 minutes, I think.
I don't know why I'm not shocked. I at this point realizing that we kind of just started and things happened. But yes, I did not answer your text, and I never plan to again. No, I think that, very excited to share our Thanksgiving traditions, sacrifices, all those things that go with the Thanksgiving merriment of the season.
Yeah, picking the youngest for slaughter. Because sometimes they try to laughter. Oh, I'm sorry, dyslexia. Sometimes I add an S to the word laughter.
Dyslexia does not add an S.
I think it does. Anyway, I thought we could talk about some fun things, but before we get into the Thanksgiving of it all, I'm holding this as if we're gonna present something to you that has to do with this. I don't. This is a later thing. This is nothing.
No, go on. That's fine. That's fine. If two can play this game.
I do. Are they the same color? Oh, close.
No. This is a matte gray, but.
Oh, okay. This is like a blue faux leather. Got it from Five Below. Not sponsored, but should be. They're good.
Right off the bat, going ahead and getting our not sponsored sponsors out.
Yeah, if you're playing Neon Valley drinking game or Neon Valley bingo, there you go. You've hit a spot. We should make some Neon Valley bingo cards. Start passing those out in the Discord.
Ate my baby. Well, no, my baby's fine.
I'm glad I got to look at you say that because you weren't even confident. At least when I can't see you, I can assume you're saying it with confidence. I didn't even see it in your face that time. No, I was gonna just ask. Did you have any other topics you wanted to talk about? Anything new in your life? Something you want to plug? Anything like that? Something you've been working on for a while that released the other day that people have been responding pretty well to. Anything like that specific?
I think we might be talking about your new game that's currently available on, I was going to say all platforms, but that wouldn't be correct yet.
Oh, yeah. You know what? Yeah, hold on. I guess, so you don't have anything, I wasn't going to, okay, yeah, sure. Let's talk about that. A completely separate, different thing entirely.
Yeah.
My game is out, kind of. It's a demo. It's on Itch.io. Yeah.
It's really good. It's really good.
Oh, thank you. No, I'm very proud of it.
You should be.
It's short enough. I've seen on average, I've noticed people go through it in about 20 to 30 minutes. Because most YouTube videos I've watched of it are about 18 to 30 minutes long, but they're also edited down at a few parts. So I don't know.
I'm thinking about, I'm going to try to speedrun it just so that way there's a period in time where I had the fastest time on that game.
Gerbils actually live streamed it today, and he currently holds the record for the speed run. And he said that once the full release comes out, he's going to speed run it. By the way, I don't have proof that he
challenge
holds
you.
the record for the speed run. I just watched him play on live stream, and he died once, and then he was like, to get back to that part, you're about to see the world's only Scare B&B live stream. I never said the name. The game is called Scare B&B.
Yes, it is. And that is the letters B, the letter N, and then the letter B. In case anybody got it confused with like a B, the bug, a knee, the body part, and then a B, the another bug. I just wanted to make sure that we cleared that out of the air because a lot of people got confused. A lot of people got confused by that.
I forgot to close my window, so I'm just going to close my window real quick.
I also realized that N
does not sound like knee. No, I didn't have to say it.
Does not sound like knee. I don't know why in my head I'm like, and probably because it rhymes, and I'm constantly. He's gone. Oh, thank God.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know why I thought knee sounded like N, but here we are.
Yeah, it doesn't. Anyway, Mitchell, do you want to start with our Thanksgiving traditions and/or memories? What do you do as a family? What's your Thanksgiving? What's your Thanksgiving go-tos? My foot's stuck.
So we have this kind of new tradition, and I think part of it is a lot of us as the kids' generation are older now. My daughter is now the youngest in our family that's going to be there, and the next youngest kid is, I want to say like 15 or 16. So now that we got into this age, a lot of us each get to pick one item, and we're responsible for making that. So I've been put in charge of the mac and cheese, which I'm very excited about. The one thing I didn't take into consideration was last year I made mac and cheese for 30 people. And I wasn't supposed to make it so that way every person needed a full portion of it. But I just took it as there's 30 people. I need 30 people's worth of mac and cheese. And so I've been told to hold back, that I don't need to make it for 30 people because there's other sides and not everyone's going to have mac and cheese. I still might make it for 30 people just because it's fucking funny.
So wait, are you saying like 30 servings or like 30 portion? Like, all right, so for example, all right, hear me out. I'm saying, are you thinking like 30 people's worth of scoops of mac and cheese, or are you saying 30 people's worth of like a full box of mac and cheese?
One, I did not use Kraft.
I assumed.
But two, no, it was actually servings. Okay. But now I'm also like,
because that would have been hilarious. Just have come in with 30 bowls of mac and cheese. Well, wanted to make sure there was enough for everyone.
Because I'm also like, okay, maybe it was more like 15 to 20. No, it was 20 that I did. I was like, I don't think we had 30 people there. But
that's still so much mac and cheese.
Dude, I brought, like, people ate it. Like, it was good. Like, people enjoyed it. And I still had, because I think I took over like 2 or 3 full, like, tin trays of it. And I brought back at least one full untouched tray. I think one we got through, a little bit of another one. We had mac and cheese for so long. But I'm very excited. Amazing. Another kind of, this one is less of a tradition and more of, I just think, a really great Thanksgiving memory that, you know, we shared together. Was the time that I decided in our very first apartment together that I was like, yeah, I'm going to make a Thanksgiving turkey. I've never done this before, but I'm sure I could figure it out. Tyler, would you like to tell the people what kind of turkey I decided to make that year?
So people might even be kind of confused by that statement alone, because it's like, what do you mean, what kind of turkey? Like, there's just turkey. You bake a turkey. No, my friends.
No.
Our brother in arms here decided, our one and only Hokage decided that he needed a shake and bake turkey. So the Ricky Bobby and him bought like 3 boxes of shake and bake.
It was like 3 or 4 boxes because it wasn't even like a small turkey.
No, it was like, a full size. It's a real turkey.
Yeah.
The incredible thing is that it was good. Like, it was not the best turkey I've ever had. I can't let you have that. Fair. I will be honest. It was a little dry, but I mean, of course, the breadcrumbs are going to soak up a lot of the moisture from the shake and bake. But it was such like, I am just still blown away to this day that we had an actual edible turkey dinner come out of that oven. Because the second you said shake and bake, me and Audrey were like, oh no.
Why?
Why
But
did you
yeah,
do this?
nobody got sick.
No?
You could taste the shake and
Nobody
bake
got
on it.
sick.
I did have to use a trash bag because it was the only bag that was large enough to put a turkey in and do the shaking.
Oh yeah, to coat it. Which you didn't have to. I mean, like that is the appeal of shake and bake. But you could have just basted it or like used your hands to coat it and cover it.
Nah,
you didn't have to.
You needed the full effect in order for it to taste authentic. It's like if you go to Italy, you're going to get real tomato. They're not going to give you Heinz. It's the same thing, and I'm totally not going to offend anybody.
What the hell does that even mean? If you go to Italy, they're going to give you a real tomato, not Heinz. What are you, in what context? Where are you going and asking for a tomato and they go, Heinz ketchup is good enough? What are you talking about?
You get a salad, you don't want a Heinz ketchup. You just want a tomato for it.
You want an actual tomato, and you're not going to get that in America.
They don't have tomatoes in America.
I think I know what you mean. You're saying like, I think you mean like sauces, like pasta sauces or something. Oh, you're getting a real tomato.
Sure.
You don't even know. You don't even know. Yeah,
no.
That's okay.
But it sounded good.
No, that was going to be one of mine if you didn't bring it up, but I assume you would.
Yeah.
And I will say, Thanksgiving is not much of a banger holiday. It's a banger family holiday. I have a lot of family memories, but they're not like, whoa, you wouldn't believe fucking cousin Jeff did this. My family's pretty tame. They only like really started drinking together as a family, like after the kids our age turned 21. That's when it was like, okay,
really?
Yeah. I don't know what it was about that turning point, but we never had bottles of wine. Like maybe they would have one bottle of wine at the end of the night. If you wanted either coffee or wine for dessert, you could have that. But that was it. But by the time I was 22 going to like Easter, there was like bottles of vodka, wine, fucking mixers, shit like that, So that only happened like somewhat recently. So yeah, I don't have any like crazy Thanksgiving memories. I loved all of our Friendsgivings that we would have,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, or Thanksgiving. Remember like a couple of years, it was the week before Thanksgiving on that Thursday, we would all get together and just get insurmountably high. Like so
Those
high.
were the days.
By the way, I want to I used the word insurmountably there and then got in my head about whether or not it was like a real word because something happened recently on this podcast and nobody's pointed it out. It's not a thing and it's fine. But I've used a word like 3 times in this podcast.
What word?
I'll get to it. And it sounds like a word and it's close to a word. And if you think about it in the context of what I'm saying, you wouldn't even question it.
Apparently I haven't.
It's emblifies. It's the emblification of something. That is not a word, and it's not even like it's like I thought it meant like, oh, it's the perfect. There is a word. God damn it. See, now I have to look it up.
Symbolize?
Basically, but it's like
okay.
It feels weird having more dead air with video, even though I can cut it out just as much as I do in the audio version. It feels so much weirder having it with video. I'm like, oh God. Exemplify.
Okay.
That's the word I've been trying to say.
I see where you fucked
for
up.
multiple podcasts. But I said emblify, as it's like the emblem. But it's like, oh yeah, like you knew. But it's like, but I'm saying that it should be a word. Right? Like, oh, it's the emblem of something. Oh, it emblifies it. It's like, I think it works. I think.
Question.
Yeah.
If you got that into Merriam-Webster's dictionary.
Yeah.
Does that mean you were wrong or the world just hadn't caught up to that word yet? Like Eminem created stan as a word and it is part of like our regular language now.
Yeah.
So,
Hmm.
are you saying right now on live stream that Eminem was wrong? Yes or no?
Yes.
No.
Camera just cuts. You just throw your chair and get up and leave.
The old TV like where it goes like, and then it's like the color bars and the please stand by.
But yeah, not a real word. I'm sorry if anybody has listened to this podcast and went, that's a good word of the day. Going to use that tomorrow. And then all of your friends made fun of you. All of your
Somebody used
scholarly
that
friends.
in a meeting and they got fired because you've been feeding misinformation.
Yeah. God, I felt so dumb. It's because I heard myself say it when I was listening back to, and editing it. And I was like, something about that doesn't sound right. And yep, sure enough, I was right. I could have just left it unknown and would have been fine. But what are you going to do?
Speaking of misinformation, I'm just going to throw this out there. I'm going to give two things. One of these is true. One of these is not.
Okay.
And if you would like to join in,
well, you're already telling me which one is true and which one is not. It's the left one is true. Oh, okay. Oh,
now
God.
you don't know.
Now I
they're
have
mixed
no
up.
fucking idea. Okay, sorry. Go on.
If you want to join in on the misinformation, you should join the Discord. Now then, one, Skorge has never bowled a day in his life. Two, Skorge wanted to join the Coast Guard because of Kelso. One of these things is misinformation. One of these things is not.
Is the Are you fucking with me? Oh, wait, no, I hear it now. No, never mind.
There it is.
I thought... No, listen, I know the second one is real. I thought you said the opposite of the first one. So I was like, wait, they're both true. I was like, what kind of game are you playing here? You motherfucker.
A bowling game. What?
But
is it a bowling match? A bowling you've never played, you wouldn't know.
Yeah, I'm actually don't know.
A bowling round? What do you call that?
I think it's a game.
A game. Let's go play a game of bowling?
Yeah. I think so.
That doesn't sound right.
No, round maybe. I'm trying to imagine cuz my dad used to watch bowling in the mornings. And I'm trying to imagine what it would say if it was because there's only one game. There's frames within a game. So yeah, you're just playing a game. I guess there is no word for it, I don't think. Cuz it's like you wouldn't cuz yes, you play multiple games when you go bowling, but you can just play one. That's the whole point of it.
But then why wouldn't it just be a round?
Because a round implies you need to play more. I wanted to make sure your headphones were on for this. No, just kidding. A round implies that you need to play more. Because you wouldn't just call something that's one round a round. You would just say that's the game. But
round of golf.
Okay, you did get me there. That's pretty good. And that's the worst use of the word round you could ever use.
Right?
It's like 6 hours.
A round of golf. It's like the longest sporting thing anyone can do.
Yeah, exactly. That's what that is. It's just overcompensating. It's trying to convince your wife you're not gone for that long. Oh, it's just a round of golf. Don't worry, sweetie. Or in my case, it's Audrey trying to convince me she's not going
the other way around.
Okay, I got kind of sidetracked there. What the hell was I even saying? Because
we've gone through a few. We went through the misinformation. We went through the bowling match. We talked about you making up words. We talked about Thanksgiving traditions. I think that was the original.
Well, yeah.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving. We'll circle back to that. So no, with my family, we had your stereotypical white ass Thanksgiving. We would connect 3 tables in the house, and there'd be a giant turkey in the middle, all the sides splayed along, very Norman Rockwell. And we would always, our traditions were that we would always have each holiday at a specific family member's house. So Christmas was always our grandparents' house because it was kind of the nicest house to go to. All the grandkids could come and all that stuff. Thanksgiving was our aunt and uncle's house. Easter was always a toss-up between one of the aunts or my grandparents. And then I'm now realizing that we never had one at our house, and it's probably because it was not nice enough. That's fine.
Is it? Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
No. We would always kind of have football on the TV. Me and my cousin would be playing video games, waiting for the mac and cheese to be done, because that is the most important part. I'm glad you brought that up. I was in charge of the mac and cheese last year for me and Audrey's Thanksgiving with her brother. And
respect.
Much like you, I did make way too much because the recipe I made called for like a party's worth, so like 9 to 10 people. And I made it for 3 people. So there was a bit left. I ate it for about 3 days after the fact.
Yep.
It's really good though.
You start getting creative sandwiches with mac and cheese.
Dude, a noodle sandwich. Let's go.
We tried a mac and cheese quesadilla. It wasn't for Thanksgiving.
No, but it made me vom.
It was not good.
So no, that wasn't that night. Was it that night?
Oh.
No, it was that night. It was that night.
All I know is the texture was not kosher.
Yeah. No, it wasn't good. It's something that you could probably sell to a stoned college student and they wouldn't question it. They'd just be like, whoa, this is fire. Like give it to them with some hot sauce or something.
I mean, I was part of the duo that came up with it, and I was a stoned college student, so that checks.
Exactly.
Checks out.
Yeah.
Also,
oh yeah, please.
Did you realize like mac and cheese is not a staple for a lot of people for Thanksgiving? This is what we can talk about. Can we talk about how people are wrong? Like, yeah. I'm willing to tell you, you're wrong if you don't have mac. I recently found out I thought ham was something we had at Thanksgiving, and my cousin was telling me we haven't had ham, and she always makes the ham, which really confused me. But I feel like ham...
You're being gaslit.
Right? Well, like, ham makes sense.
But ham is ham is Christmas. That's me. That's my...
That's what she said.
Yeah, ham is Christmas. I think we also do have a ham at Thanksgiving sometimes. Because I think some people don't like turkey. I think that's what happens. Is like turkey, let's be honest, of all the meats, turkey's the worst. Okay, maybe pork is the worst, but turkey is close. Like,
it's healthier, but it's not tastier.
It's not. And like if you pour a bunch of salt on it and put it between some bread and have a turkey sandwich with some stuffing on it or something, delicious. That's amazing. But that's the only way.
Shake and bake.
It's amazing. Yeah, or shake and bake. Yeah. Now I get why you did it. No, yeah. So I can see why ham would become the secondary staple to Thanksgiving because a lot of people find turkeys kind of gross.
Mashed potato. I think mashed potatoes have to be the second staple of Thanksgiving.
100%. I think green beans is the green. I know some say collard greens. Really depends on your ethnicity and culture and background, let's be honest. But
both are gross.
Both are shit. You just don't like anything green. Let's just be honest.
Okay, you got me there. But mac and cheese absolutely belongs at Thanksgiving dinner. Please at me.
It does. No, 100%. I brought this up at work. This was last year, actually. I had this big debate. I went around to everyone at my job because, actually, I could go find out, but I really don't want to get up right now. I believe it was Audrey who was the one who said, like, oh yeah, you can make mac and cheese if you want. And I was like, well then if I don't, who will? She was like, we just won't have mac and cheese. And I was like, well, that's like saying...
Let's just not eat dinner.
Yeah, I'm sorry, there won't be chairs at Thanksgiving today.
We just won't have a table to eat off of.
No utensils. We're using our hands like savages. No mac and cheese. Are you out of your mind? So I went around the store and at my job, and surprisingly, it came out almost like 50-50, if not leaning more towards people not having mac and cheese as a staple. I don't get it. You taking notes?
Yeah, no.
Kill half the population.
As Dwight Schrute once said, I don't know if this is too soon, but we need another plague. I don't know if that's too soon.
I like it how you made an Office reference and I made a Thanos reference. This is why we have a podcast.
This is exactly why we have a podcast.
Yeah.
But yes, mac and cheese belongs. Joseph, put the score on the board.
Ding dong. By the way, I just want to point this out real quick that because we have video now, I am hoping to post more like TikTok content and stuff like that. And I guarantee within the first 2 videos, we're going to get the comment, oh, so they're just giving podcasts to anyone now, huh? Because that's like everyone's comment on every podcast I see on TikTok.
Oh, yeah.
And I just want to tell those people, yeah, that's kind of how they work. Like if you just get a microphone and you just get a friend or someone you know, that's the hard part, I know. But if you just get someone you know or a friend that wants to talk with you for an extended period of time, then yeah, they will literally give these to anybody. They're handing them out in droves. It's nuts.
Yeah, the way that they kind of preface it, it's like, well, yeah, by definition, there's like no laws. You don't have to get a certificate, and they only give out a specific number of podcast licenses per year to like, they give it out. They don't even give it out. Anyone just does it.
Yeah. Is it like a misunderstanding of how like, it's kind of like how I think some people assume that if you hear a song online that it's been released by a major label or something, like, oh, well, if I heard it or on the radio or I've seen a music video, that it must be some kind of big conglomerate. But like nowadays, it could just be one dude doing his own thing, and that's kind of how podcasts are too, obviously now, where, just people are just throwing their shit together and making their own show. And I think some people assume like, wow, people are really giving these guys money to do this. And it's like, no, nobody's giving us any money to do this at all.
Hence all of our "we're not sponsored, sponsor, please sponsor us" sponsorships that we don't have.
100%. So I don't know. You got any other Thanksgiving stuff to talk about? That kind of sucked, but
it's a great topic when you go on tangents.
Talk about
off
other
of
things.
Multiple tangents.
Hey, we talked about the mac and cheese thing. That's something I'm very passionate about. More people
me as well.
Need to have mac and cheese as a staple. So anyway, we're going to talk about Deep House, The Deep House, 2021's
don't fuck that up.
movie. Just want to say, Mitchell, you're back.
It's like I never left.
You're back in full force, baby. You had a few bangers. You had a few bangers in a row.
What?
Oh, did you?
All right.
Oh,
we're
hold
gonna
on.
need to. All right.
This isn't.
All right.
This wasn't a troll.
Okay. So no, we're gonna start with our format. Oh yeah. Wait, are those notes on the movie?
Oh yeah. I've got 4.5 pages of notes. 4 pages of notes. I'm sorry. Are you writing notes now? That's not how it works. You can't do that.
No, I'm writing notes on your notes.
Are you?
Oh, I mean, you haven't said them yet, but
is this my quarterly performance? Shit.
You failed. I'll be taking your bonus this year. All right, go ahead and
we watched 2021's The Deep House, directed by some guy, directed by Alexandre Bustillo and Julian Maury. I probably butchered their names. 2 French guys. 2 French guys. Starring a couple, I would assume, unknown actors. At least I don't recognize them. Maybe they're known overseas. Camille Rowe and James Jager. If I keep trying to pronounce it, I'm going to say a slur. So I'm going to stop now.
You should definitely stop.
Please, God, I'm going to stop now. But, okay, so from your reaction, it's sounding like this was not a movie you intended to troll me with, but let me describe it. So it's about a house that has been preserved perfectly under this lake. There was a big flood back in the day that totally covered this town, and there's like a house that's been completely preserved, and there's this couple who they are like YouTube adventurers, I guess. They make YouTube videos of like, or do they make specifically haunted YouTube videos or just like interesting place YouTube videos? I couldn't really tell.
So this is something I had noticed on the second watch. My first watch, I had thought they were into haunted, but I realized he doesn't believe in haunted things. He just likes doing YouTube videos on ruins, torn down places to kind of get like the history of things. And she's kind of just along for the ride. Well, that's his focus. She's just kind of along for the ride, but she's come to enjoy their exploration, just not the internet side of things.
Yes. Yeah, you get that vibe right out of the gate. They kind of try to make it clear, which, okay. I know we shouldn't get immediately into notes, right? But
here we are.
The first line of this movie is, "Wait, so tell me, baby?" I paused it. And I rewound it because I was so confused by that being the first line of the movie. Like, I don't know if it was just the inflection but it sounded like there should have been 7 lines before that. And it wasn't even done in a way that sounds like, oh, you're just coming into a conversation. They were walking silently for a second, and then she just turns around and goes, "Wait, so tell me, baby?" And okay, so can we say the acting isn't like the best? It's not bad.
Yeah, I'll say that. It's not A1 level acting.
No.
I have seen worse.
Yes.
I have seen worse.
I may have misunderstood you. The female character, Camille Rowe. Let me see what her name was. I'm sorry, I don't even remember. Tina. That's right. He kept yelling, "Tina." She was supposed to be an American who lives in France, correct? Because I think the guy says like, "Oh, I've never met an American who can speak such good French." And yet her American accent was not American. Like at one point, like she says like, "Oh, you're just in shock?" And she says like, "You're just in shock." And I was like, no part of America says shook. Like, that's not what we say. And like, I mean, maybe it's just the French, but my whole point, and there was a lot of times this happened, and my whole point is like, why make her an American character who speaks French when you could just make her a French character, and then all of this like language weird things that were sticking out to me won't matter. But it was just strange. I should say English. I say American because like when I say English, I don't want to confuse it with like Ben's English because he's British.
Right. Yeah.
And he speaks English. So I'm trying to say like her American accent.
No, I think that's fair. I think an American accent is different from an English accent.
Yeah. Her third line of the movie, "Fuck ghosts," right? Love that. That's a great line. That's a good line. Fuck
they sound
ghosts,
like YouTubers.
Right? Yeah, that's fair. And I did say shots and writing are good. I'm sorry. No, I didn't. I said shots and lighting are good. Writing is trash.
And music. I thought the music they used well.
There was a few times where it felt like, I'm pretty sure it was stock music, but I don't blame them. I've used it before. A lot of people have, you know what I mean? But it's like, I almost like recognized it. I was like, oh, that's pixabay.com/music/ tension building MP3. It's like, I know that one. So the writing is pretty bad. I don't like the writing in this movie at all. The dialogue doesn't sound natural to me, like at all. And I guess you could kind of excuse it by the fact that they're not American-born English. Well, no, she's supposed to be. Never mind. I guess that's not an excuse. I just don't. There's some of the dialogue that feels very like forced and stilted. I don't think I wrote down exact lines here, but like when she's in the bathtub at the beginning and is like timing herself breathing, that's when I noticed. I was like, this is shot pretty well. I like this composition. The lighting is really nice. Like it's like all of it sounds good. The sound design actually was really well. Like you could hear like a lot of the outside environments. It was nice. And then when he pulls up, he says something. I can splice it in since we have video now, and like I'll probably do it in the audio. And then she responds, and I just immediately was pulled out and was just like I feel like this is not how people talk to each other. And I don't know if they're dating. I don't know if they're brother and sister. I don't know. But then that's cleared up very quickly. Like it doesn't take long for them to clear that. But I don't know. There was something about those interactions that wasn't quite selling me. I'm sorry. I know I'm probably gonna shit on this movie a lot, but I will give you a chance to defend yourself. Okay. And you may convince me. Who knows? Maybe there's something I just went in cynical, which I do.
No, not you. Not you.
Impossible. I did laugh because when she comes out, she lied about her time. She got like a 1:22, and then she says she got 3 minutes. So I just wrote liar on the
You see
paper.
every time she did it. That's her best time.
No, she lied. The implication is she lied, and that, which is why the end is the way the end is. I think that's supposed to be the whatever. But what I found so funny is that the guy goes, only 3 minutes, and then hands her a cigarette. Like, oh, your lungs only had enough capacity to last 3 minutes. You better bulk up, buddy. Here's a cigarette. Like, I don't know.
Puffing up those lungs.
Yeah, they're French, so it's fine. I get it. Well, they're not. Whatever. It's so weird how this movie for me balanced this line of like very high budget and very well crafted, because like the amount of work that has to go into this movie is unreal. Is unreal. Like that's
not like a CGI to do everything. This is and I did actually a little research on how they filmed it. Very, very intricate, very detailed.
I think for me what it is that I can't quite get over the final product to fully let me not so much appreciate. I do appreciate all the work that went into it and like think it's incredible, but it's just that the final product doesn't necessarily give me something that goes like, oh, that was all worth it, you know, like at the end of the day, because I think most of the movie is it drones on. It kind of is a little boring. There's not much tension, even though like I'm the most terrified person of water ever, but I didn't feel like the threat was established early enough. The last 20 minutes are pretty fun. Like the last 20 minutes are good. I think the last 20 minutes should have been most of the movie. Like we have the threat early on when they enter the house, and then they're kind of being chased by it. And then I think there should have, like, I even had notes and stuff where I was saying, like, I honestly think near the end, like, there should have been an air pocket that they were able to go to in the house and kind of regroup. And then, but they can't get out from that air pocket. They're still trapped in the house, but it's like this perfect little, like, kind of like, oh, we can fit up here and, like, breathe for a second. Because without that, it almost felt, like, too claustrophobic. I don't know. How do you feel? I want to let you talk about it for a little bit. I kind of went on my rant.
So I will agree where I feel like the beginning intro part and even, upway to the first, 60-ish% of the movie, there's a lot of building this, this is their relationship, they're dating, they're traveling around, that could have been done in less time to provide them with more time to actually experience things and more like close cut situations.
Or the movie could have been longer because it's only an hour and 20 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, so it's not like if they added on an additional 30-40 minutes and
there, buddy. Maybe 20.
All right, 15, 20 30
15
minutes.
20, all right.
Or if it was something like, and this is kind of something that we'll get into as well. There's a guy named Pierre, and Ben, I think his name is Ben, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He meets Pierre while they're at the lake trying to find a good spot to scuba dive to find something cool, and it's totally a tourist trap where they're at. And this is where I was like, really? So he walks up to get food, and there's a guy just sitting there that just so happens to know this. Like, I thought it would have made more sense, right, if he is sitting there at the table trying to figure out, our plan is busted. Maybe we can find somebody that knows a good spot. And there's like a spooky looking van with like a weird guy hanging out. And he goes and seeks him out versus, oh, you're sitting right next to the food truck where I'm going to go get some food from. It was a little too easy. And if that guy, or if it was something like this guy was in the background of shots that like they didn't notice and he had been following them and kind of set himself up to be there because he's been like targeting them. He's somebody who followed them online and was able to kind of follow their footsteps that way. I think that would have been a more interesting buildup to get them to that spot.
Yeah. He could have even been, he could have been a follower who commented like, "Hey, you should check out this spot." And then when
I
they
know
get
a really
there,
good- yep.
it's overpopulated. So now that there's even like a little like red herring where it's like, well, would it be him who brought them there? Like, why would he bring them to the place that's overpopulated? Wouldn't he bring them straight to the lake? Like, you can at least have an open-ended thing there. I 100% agree. I didn't like how they handled that. You could have even literally don't even have to do all of that. You could have just had him overhear their conversation, and he walks up and he's like, "Hey, I don't want to be weird, but I know a place that you guys could go." And they're kind of like, no thank you. And then Ben's like, oh, wait, hold on a sec, like
there were so many more ways that would have felt more realistic than, oh, he just strikes up a conversation with a guy next to a food truck that just so happens to be the guy that is going to take him. So that part, like again, the intro part. Yep.
Real quick, because I had a note about that exact part. I just wanted to say, I said that guy explained a lot of exposition in 10 seconds because he walks up to the food truck. Which, by the way, I have circled here. French food trucks have wine. Good to know.
And did he come back with wine?
Yeah, they were like plastic cups of wine. Which I guess when you're at like a festival or something like that, you'll get it in plastic cups or like an outdoor event. But no, because I noticed he walked over there. He stops for a second, and you see him kind of be like, we were doing this. And then, Tina goes, oh, don't invite him over to drink or whatever she says out loud, or she thinks it or something. And then he just goes and gets his drinks and then walks back. And their interaction was like 10 seconds. And maybe it was cut so that you don't see how long their interaction was, but it was very short. And then he comes back and he goes, oh yeah, he says that this place is kind of it's a letdown for a lot of other people. But he did say he knows about this other place. It's a little ways down the road. We have to follow him there. It's a lake. But there's a house that's perfectly preserved under that lake. It's like so much exposition that's like, if I walked up to a guy that was sitting in front of a food truck and he said that much to me in 10 seconds, I'd be like, okay, dude, I'm going to get my drinks now. Like, no fucking way. But I don't know. That was a little weird.
So I'll give you that. I think they really drew out their relationship to kind of show like, oh, it's a loving couple that goes and explores. The introduction to Pierre and him getting them there was a little bit. It was very unrealistic. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But what I think I did like about at least the dialogue was I felt like it did feel like a couple, and Ben definitely felt like a guy who wants to make it on YouTube. Now, one thing I thought was kind of interesting was the amount of like expensive equipment this guy had for trying to make it big on YouTube. Because he has like this 4K drone that's underwater that follows him, and this sonar device.
James Cameron doesn't even have that fucking thing, dude. Like, I don't know what that was. No, I actually have here.
If he was an engineer and built it, that makes more sense.
Yeah, we've talked about this before in other reviews. I think with it was with no, it wasn't ICU. It was the one with the brother who's dead but not really dead. What was that movie called, man?
I think you lost me again.
No, I hear you.
The one where they start out by telling you like the brother that's involved, and then it's like, oh, it's just like, kidding, he's not there the whole time.
It's a pun. Yeah, the name is a pun. It's like Killer Instinct. No, Ice. It's.
Hold on, let me look at our Terrorize.
Terrorize. Thank you. Okay, we talked about this a bit in Terrorize, where it's like the camera language, like, okay, well, you're trying to make it clear that this camera is from the point of view of this person, so they're going to do this. I didn't like how early on in this movie there was no clarification of like, am I looking at the cinematic camera that's following this movie, or am I looking at this guy's POV? Because there's the part where he's like walking through the street talking and then like turns slowly and she's peeing and then she's like, oh, stop or whatever, But the camera is so clean and it moves and tracks so smoothly that it doesn't feel like a POV camera. And then later you see him with this tiny little GoPro and he's getting shots of the city that are like a red camera that's worth like hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I get that for the layman that is just watching a movie, they're not really going to like notice it or like care that the camera quality isn't like different when you're using those different cameras. It's a movie, whatever. But then later in the movie, when they're in the car, Pierre points at a camera and goes, "Oh, we're being recorded, huh?" And that's clearly shot from like a GoPro, like wide angle, lower quality camera. So I'm like, okay, so you have it. You are recorded. Like, I don't know. There's that inconsistency. And then what bothered me more is that they even point out that he has a 4K camera. So it's like, okay, you're drawing attention to the fact that you know about technology, and yet the tech you're using in this movie isn't accurate. Does that?
And again, even he's like, "Oh yeah, it can track movement with like fucking sonar
and yeah,
in the water."
And yeah, dude, I even said, I was like, how does it track movement when water's constantly moving and like the dust particles and like everything? And then I was about to write, how does it track them? But he was like, "Oh no, we're set up in the parameters." And I was like, "What? Your scuba suits? Like, what do you mean you're set into the parameters? Like what?"
Yes. So those kind of things, I was like,
that part's
what?
a little weird. Oh, real quick, my last thing about that.
Oh yeah.
Because, and I think it's only because I just watched the Wonka trailer, that had a similar line as this. One of the Oompa Loompas says, "I'm an Oompa Loompa," and Timothy Chalamet as Wonka goes, "An Oompa whata?" And I hate it. It's not funny, and it's terrible. Your face says it all. Your reaction says it all. And there's literally a line in this movie where the guy goes, "Yeah, it's a 4K camera." And Pierre goes, "A 4 what?" It's a letter, motherfucker. Why would 4K? Why would you say 4 what to 4K?
That's because K in Spanish means what, so he thought he was speaking a different language.
Okay, if this was a Spanish movie, that would be fucking hilarious. That's hilarious. But that's like, if a guy's like, "Yeah, it's in 4K." For what? That's hilarious. But when they're in France and it's a French guy and he's just supposed to be old and doesn't understand technology, I was just like, dude, it's a letter. Like, you wouldn't phrase it as for what?
I did like how they called out like the peace sign is actually like an anti-Christianity. I don't know if anti-Christianity is the best way to put it, but like, it is like the breaking of the cross was the actual like symbol behind it, and they kind of touched on its actual origins.
Yeah, which I think even then, that's kind of misconstrued a little bit, because I believe the peace sign isn't the chicken foot. The peace sign is the 3 segments, I think. But people associate the chicken foot with. I could have this backwards. Okay. I might have this backwards, actually. I could be wrong.
Oh,
could be something. I'm not gonna put too many eggs in this basket because I feel like I'm wrong. So like, but we'll move on. I did notice that, but I thought it was funny how he also had a sticker on his case of like an octopus that I'm like very sure was close to a Nazi symbol, and I'm like, we're not gonna point that one out. I can't be quite sure, but isn't there like some kind of Reich symbol or Nazi symbol with like the head of a octopus and then like legs coming out or something? I could be wrong.
Are you thinking of like Hydra from? Because Hydra was associated with Nazis, I think, in the comics because Captain America fought them. Was that what you were thinking?
I'm thinking of.
I could be wrong.
They'll just give a podcast to anyone these days, dude. I swear to God. Wow.
That changes your whole viewpoint on the movie now.
So they go under the water. It's very impressive that they shot all of this underwater. Like, I would say the next hour of the movie is all underwater.
And it's actually underwater. I looked it up, and they were saying that they actually had to do each room individually, and they talked about the difficulties in terms of how do you coordinate, because you can't really give direction to people that are underwater, trying to get them to be able to act and present fear and stuff like that underwater. Even is going as far as having to set up like wireless receptors down, or not wireless, some kind of communication so that way they could speak to them. Because yeah, this was all actually done underwater, which and maybe that's another place where I give the movie a little credit. Is it took an entire thing that a lot of other movies probably would have used CGI for,
Oh
and
yeah.
did it authentically, which I thought was crazy. But again, maybe that's where a few of the other points kind of suffered a bit, because the focus was on the technical aspect of, we're gonna film a horror movie actually underwater with actual scuba divers for our actors.
Yeah, it wasn't scary. That's the main thing for me that I cannot believe. I can't believe this wasn't scary. Like,
Yeah, I'm a little bit shocked.
because the concept is so good. It's a good concept. Like, I love the trippy kind of like nature behind it. Like, shouldn't some of these things be floating, and shouldn't they be deteriorated, and shouldn't they be like, there's certain things that your brain kind of thinks of that like are almost like, you almost want to make them false, but that's what makes it creepy, is like, whoa, well, why is this house so preserved well, and like all these things, and like, but yeah, I will say that near the beginning, like their first kind of trek through the bottom of the lake and stuff,
Hmm.
I kept kind of dipping in and out of this feeling of just like they're in a big pool, which they were at the end of the day. Like, I think they made a big tank that they submerged everything
Yeah,
in.
in a warehouse, I think
Yeah.
they had it set up.
And I don't know why. I don't know what it is, because they did a good job of like putting like the dust particles and like that kind of like volumetric fog where you can't see further away, and
Yep.
like things like that. And they did a pretty good job at that, but there's just certain moments where I just feel like they're in a set. They're on a set filming this. Like, they're not actually under a lake. I don't know why. I Maybe it's the lack, well, because the only fish we see, at least at times, is a CGI fish at certain
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
Like the first
Which,
jump scare was for sure a CGI fish. I wrote all
oh
capitals,
yeah.
CGI fish. It's because that's the only jump scare in the first like half an hour or so, I'd say. Um,
But I will
yeah,
say, I think that at least they called out that, oh, there's not even fish here. Which again, it's haunted.
I
The
guess
the
that's true.
fish are staying away from it.
I forgot they did say that. Yeah. Um, and the fish works as that kind of force later on. That's like, oh, there must be an exit over here, because that's where did the fish come from? We closed it out. Yeah.
Yep.
Uh, I think that it didn't lean enough into the supernatural element. I think it saved it all too much for the end. You know?
Yeah, I agree. I think it could have at least use things where us as the audience are witnessing, oh, stuff is happening behind them and they don't. Like, one thing I thought was good was like the piano, because then they go over to try to play the piano and it doesn't play.
Yeah. No, that's
But
good.
but they saved it for too late until you already know what's happening. I think they could have even used those as fake red herring, which I guess would be real herrings. I don't know what you'd call
Yeah.
that. But incorporate a little bit more of that ominousness that you could have showed us as the audience, and they don't realize, because I felt like that's what they were trying to do by saying, oh, even the fish don't go here, is they're avoiding it. But then, like, they actually even get to explore the house for a little bit. And while like they come across creepy stuff and even mention like, oh, I wonder how it's still preserved, there was a lot of missed opportunity, I think, to add more fear and danger from the spooky aspect.
Yeah, because for me, I know that there is a ticking clock element throughout all of it, which is that they only have an hour for their
The
thing.
oxygen, yeah.
But maybe it's just me, but to me, that's not a ticking clock element, because they can just leave at any time and go to the surface. That's the point. It didn't become a ticking clock element until they were locked in, and they were only locked in for like the last like 15, 20 minutes in the movie, if that. So like when she sees the cement wall, like when they try to open it to get out,
Yeah.
that is the first moment where it's like, oh, shit's getting real. And again, that's so close to the end that I'm like,
It becomes very compact instead of the last 30, 40 minutes of this movie is they're now trapped and something is following them in the house, and something, cuts open their suit, and now one of them is injured earlier on. They definitely could have added more of that emphasis on, or even again, is somebody else in here with us that is messing with us like Pierre? Like
Yeah.
they could have added some other element instead of waiting to like that last 15, 20 minutes, whatever it is, that there's now a wall and they can't escape.
Yeah.
I mean, they could have
Or
even had it where it collapses as soon as they kind of get in because he
mhm.
knocks something over, and now they're trapped, and you don't know if it's supernatural or not, but now
Yeah.
you know they're trapped and they already have to find a way out, and he starts getting distracted by what he sees in the house.
Or they could get like turned around and like, so maybe like they open the window and the cement wall is still there, but this happens way earlier in the movie. It's like she panics and wants to leave or something. But then when they check the cement wall, it's like they're also not quite sure if that's the same window. It's like, well, no, hold on. Maybe this is another end of the house. Like I got kind of turned around back there. Like there, because it, like if it was a bigger house or if it, but again, like the thing about this movie that's hard to nitpick is it's kind of the same thing as like nitpicking certain things about like a video game and asking like, oh, well, why didn't they just do this? Because with this movie, it would have made it exorbitantly harder to do.
Oh my
Like,
god.
you know,
Like if
like
they were in a museum, if they were in a large building and not a house, because yeah, to your point, it becomes
even
how do you film
dude,
all that
even just
underwater?
adding another character. Now you have to add more camera angles, which means you have to because I did look up some of the stuff you were mentioning as well, where it's like how they filmed it, because I was curious too.
Oh
And
yeah.
I saw how they were saying like reverse shots that are very simple to do on normal sets. It's like, oh, this person's talking, cut to this person, back and forth, like how we are right now. Uh, Even doing that underwater was near impossible, and they had to like do like 4 takes and like reset everything, and like it would take like hours and like triple the time. So just to add one more character would be really difficult, because I was gonna say
Yeah.
like, what if there's another diver that comes down and they're like, oh, did Pierre tell this guy about it after us or something, like at like 20 minutes into
Mhm.
it? So it's like, oh, is he but he's like skulking around the house and you don't really see him, and they're like, oh, is he another diver? Is this the ghost? Like, you don't really know. But like I said, adding another character makes this, because I heard from what I had read, I think originally the budget was 300,000 when they had the idea.
I read this as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Blumhouse picked it up and they thought it was a great idea, and then sold it to Epix, which is the MGM Plus streaming service, apparently, I
Mm.
guess. It was originally called Epix. And yeah, they bumped it up to $5 million as the
And
budget.
that was it's actually
Or
euros,
euro, so
so a little bit more
5.5.
expensive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that.
And again, to go from a 300,000 to 5 million is crazy. But
Yeah.
again, knowing that they did all of this actually underwater, they built a house that they submerged, that yeah, I see where a lot of details definitely went into the house and the scenery.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I was realizing that we're not, and this is okay. I like our free flowing conversation about movies, but I realized that we're not necessarily going through the beats of the story. But to be fair, I think the reason we're not is because there's not necessarily much beyond. Pierre tells them about the place, they swim down there, and then they're just in the house. For like, yes, they find like people tied up in the basement that are like chained up, and there's kind of like a sacrificial like marking underneath them, and there's like implications
Yeah.
of torture, and there's missing children pictures
Like
up on the
the
wall.
occult, there's clearly occult symbols,
Yeah.
but really it's not until the last like 5, maybe even 5, 10 minutes where they come across again, they realize they're stuck down there, that he looks at a photo and he sees Pierre was the son of these occult people,
Mm.
and then Ben gets possessed by what I assume is the father, and then you find through the film, which I kind of thought was an interesting way to do it, where the family had been taking kids and like mutilating them for sacrifices for the occult, that the villagers came in for retribution, and they killed the entire family, which is kind of, and it's where
A
I
rip
think
off of
they
my game? Yes. Yes, it is.
yes, absolutely. I feel like and maybe part of it was meant to kind of leave you to the imagination. But when you're when you use a cult, I kind of like to have a little bit more of a backstory or understanding. Why is Pierre still sending people there? Um,
Dude, thank
I
you.
kind of liked where at the end of the film where that's how they kind of explain it to you and break down that this is the story, that the girl comes through the screen.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was interesting. It's a nice it's aesthetically, I thought it was a good like kind of scare, but
Hmm.
I think once I thought about her like waiting behind the screen for her cue, it made me laugh. Like waiting
Yeah, that's
for
fair.
Ben to start screaming and then she's like ah like comes through like but but no, that was good. I did actually like that. There were some things I liked. I did note, I will say. Um but no, what did you want to say anything more about that?
No,
That scene?
but again, like even to kind of back to your point, that's kind of the movie. Is that last 15-20 minutes is really the big situation where they go down into this basement dungeon and they find this occult stuff, and he sees, I think it's like body parts from, the kids that are in the closet. uh she goes through kind of like this not really hypnosis, because I think she really experiences it where the two bodies are gone and she gets trapped in the chains and she gets injured.
Yeah, that was kind of confusing. I didn't necessarily like how that was conveyed. Because I don't hate the idea, and once I realized what was going on, I liked the idea. But so one, it's a little too chaotic. I think something about it being underwater, it's just all bubbles at one point. Like literally for a couple shots, it's just
Hmm.
all bubbles. And I get that that's realistic, but this isn't, and that's where this kind of draws this line. This isn't like a documentary film. This isn't Paranormal Activity. This is a movie. So I want a clear shot of her spinning around under this water. Do you know what I mean? Because it's not all from
Yeah.
their perspective. So why only show us this crazy, but especially when it's so disorienting. And two was the red light thing. So my first like initial thought, and I don't know, maybe this was on purpose, could have been, but my first initial thought that was that when this red light happened, that she was almost kind of like moving into a different dimension because like things were different there.
Okay.
Like the people were missing and like her boyfriend was gone and like all, because remember like when he comes back, he's like, I've been here the whole time. I was literally standing right here. I turned around and then you were hanging upside down. What's going
Yeah.
on?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
He was like, I didn't leave.
yeah, which could be maybe that's him starting to become possessed. I don't know, but also I thought, oh, she like went into another like dimension for a second.
Hmm.
But then it's revealed that the red light is the motion sensor from Sam or Tom or whatever that little
The
thing was
camera,
called.
the
Yeah,
peeping
the
Tom.
peeping Tom, exactly. Yeah, Tom. Uh, and that's cool. That's a good element that I think they should have established better. Like, yes, there's that scene where they're like, oh, he's seeing something move. But all I'm thinking is like, well, how is he seeing something move? So it kind of ruined that. But then later I was like, well, I do like the idea of the red light being the thing that tells us like something's happening. Because, like, for example, in the game Death Stranding, this is a weird kind of
Hmm.
shout out, I guess, but you'll see where I connect it. In the game Death Stranding, there's these like invisible ghosts kind of around you, monsters, and you have this machine on you, and there's like a baby attached. I'm not going to get into all this, but there's this machine on you that when you're close enough, I know, when you're close enough to the monster, it kind of like and then like tracks where the monster is, but you can't see it. And it's this very tense, horrifying thing where you're like, I know that it's right next to me, but I can't see it. And this thing is just going off and it's telling you that it's right next to you, you know? So in this movie, I was getting that feeling a few parts where it's like, okay, the red light is on, she's looking around and nothing is there, but you know something is there. That's effective. I like that. I just don't think it was conveyed well enough at the beginning for me to realize that's what was happening. I don't know.
Because if it was something to where like there's the floodlight on that and that's the only source of light, so whatever that thing is looking at, and that light will shift to a red once ever there's motion that maybe shouldn't be there, whatever they want to explain for their super fancy sonar device. If like in one of the transitions to the red, there's like then somebody standing there, and then it flickers, and then it's gone, and it's like, well, wait a minute.
There you go.
Those are ways you could have used that red light element that we understand. Okay, that red is supposed to like signify, exemplify that something is amplify. That's the word. Amplify that something is there.
Yeah.
Even if you can't see it. Definitely.
Well, should it have been, you know what? Maybe this wouldn't have worked either, but maybe it should have been a heat signature. Why motion? Like, because then at least with the heat signature thing, you can say like, oh, well, that's our bodies. We're fine. But, oh, wait, what's this third body? Wait, hold on. There's another
electric pulses, the kind of way sharks are able to censor. Again, if you're telling me that he has the ability to have this 4K, which I think if he was an engineer, it makes way more sense than this broke guy who's trying to make a lot of money. Because bro, just sell whatever that is, and you've got like $20,000.
Yeah, maybe 400K to be honest, dude. Like that thing's that's military.
You know what? Yeah, with all this sonar, yeah, you stole something from or that like he stole it from someone in.
Oh, I do have a note. Sorry, real quick. I did have a note that she says every time she says "send in the drone," she sounds like a military sergeant. Like she says it like 4 times.
Star Wars.
Yeah, she's like "send in the drone." Like every time she says it the same way. It's really funny. There's parts of this movie that I did like. Let me look through my notes real quick. I wrote jump scare Jesus.
Oh, Jesus with like the eyes open. Like I thought it was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that was creepy.
But I didn't understand. Like
I did that. You know what it was for me? They didn't show well enough that his eyes were closed first.
The first time around,
because I wasn't sure.
Like if he had touched it and his hand like goes over the eyes, so that way you're paying more attention. Because when I saw it, my first thought wasn't, oh, its eyes were closed. Once I realized, oh, they were using this as a jump scare, I'm like, oh, was his eyes closed?
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't even remember. So I was like, I don't even know. Yeah, surprisingly enough, actually, I don't really have that many more notes. Because we just naturally talked about a lot of the stuff I have written. I do like the idea of like ghosts walking underwater. Like when that woman comes in the room and she's walking on the floor.
Yeah, that looks super good.
It's so good. And I get that that's the only time that they could do that because it probably took 12 hours to figure out how to do that. You know what I mean? Like not doing that with CGI is insane. Like that's awesome. But
that's actual breath control for like 3 minutes.
Yeah, and then the younger, same thing with the daughter when she's like in the room with them in the theater at the end. Like she's clearly acting with them in like an enclosed room with only a few openings, like holding her breath, just like for like easily
not
30
really
to 40
seeing any
seconds
bubbles
to take.
out. No, it looked really good.
Yeah. It's that part of it is crazy good. But yeah, it just sucks that because of that limitation, it's like, okay, we could only do this once. Here's this scene where the woman's walking on the floor and it looks super dope. But all the rest of the scenes, they're gonna kind of have to be floating and swimming towards you, which is fine. It still looked creepy. I still liked that. I didn't. Maybe I won't skip ahead to the very end. But so anyway, Ben gets possessed. They get separated. Ben gets possessed, and I did write down because she starts going Ben, and I wrote Ben more like Ben with two e's.
That was terrible. Yeah. Don't ever say that again.
All right, it's better. It's a better read joke than it is said out loud. It's a thinker. So, okay. So I guess we'll just kind of get to the end. Where there's not too much more to talk about, I guess, unless there's another scene you can recall.
No, I kind of like how they called out like, oh, how is everything so preserved, and that I think is supposed to indicate more of the haunted aspect. But again, there's not a whole lot of that, because once you say, oh, everything is preserved, well, then you know everything is preserved because it's haunted. There's no additional element. Like if they
Yeah.
saw like the silhouette of a person outside the windows, and it becomes somebody else out there, that's another element that could signify, is there someone? Is it
Yeah.
something?
Someone fucking with
Um,
them. Yeah, I this, this movie suffers from something that I'm gonna make up right now. And this is a term I'm making up right now. And it's I'm calling it a because ghost movie. It's
Ooh.
where things happen and they don't bother explaining it because ghost. That's really all there is. Like, it's like, oh, why did that thing do that? Like, why was there a cement wall over the window? Because ghost. And it's
like
like,
if
what? Like, okay, well, okay, then why did this happen? Because ghost. And it's like, at least in movies like Insidious, they at least try to create a grounded meaning and like
lore.
lore and explain what the demon can do, or like, and it never does things that it never like changes reality around someone in their real life and then goes, oh well, it only did that because it's a ghost. No, it's like it does things purposefully. And like, yeah, this movie kind of failed at that a little bit.
Something I thought they could have very easily done, and they could have just added this in the movie that you watch at the end on the film, is that it's like a demon of preservation, where by sacrificing all these bodies, it promised to preserve them for eternity. And
Yeah.
that's why the house, everything, their souls are still there, because it did preserve it, but only in that house. So if they left that house, the spirits would actually die and cease to exist.
Yeah.
So they, along with everything in the house, will always be permanently preserved.
Yeah. No, I like that. Or even like, if you think like you could have made the lore deeper, like have more stuff outside of just this lake and house, and where it's like, because we see that vacation spot that's like hustling and bustling,
Hmm.
like let's say that that's only so hustling and bustling, and it's doing so well for the community because of these sacrifices, and that if they stop these sacrifices, it will stop this community from doing so well, and like you know what I mean, like there's almost like more stakes to it, or it actually like helps the story along, where it's like, oh well,
It even explains Pierre. If he stops, then the souls of his parents will actually die, and because
mhm,
of what they've done, they'll be tortured in hell.
yeah,
And that would give a reason as to why Pierre has to continue always doing this. Because again, without it, he just does it because he's evil. And again, that
because he's
can be a
always done it.
reason.
Yeah, they don't
But
really explain it. It just sounded like a crackpot family. It didn't sound like there was an actual. It didn't sound like they were actually sacrificing people to do anything. It sounded like they were just sacrificing people. Do you know what I mean? Like they didn't explain why. Like, um, and I guess like the fact that there are ghosts and things of that nature, that it shows that there is a supernatural element. So they were clearly sacrificing to something that's supernatural. But yeah, they never explain it really. And then so yeah, Ben gets possessed and is he's doing that creepy thing. And again, this is the thing that is just because ghost. They never explain that he's possessed, but they never explain that he's like, is he just enchanted? Like, because he's kind of like, well, the house, this is our house now. Well, this is safe here. We need to stay here. We were always meant to be here. Like, it, it's like things you say in a horror movie. Like that's what the creepy guy would say when you're trapped with him. But I don't feel anything because they didn't like he should, like they could have even made it where he had a connection to this house. Like he's like, oh, I went here when I was a kid, or so, you know what I mean? Like, and then it's like, oh, he finds old pictures, and then he's like, I love this house, and then he wants to stay, or so. Like you could have done so much more with that character to make it make sense. You know?
or the souls there were trying to take their bodies and actually escape the house, but they needed a living body. Like there could have been reasons.
Yeah. Yeah. Or yeah, like I even fucking I'm gonna dive head first into my idea that like I think Ben should have brought her there from the beginning. That was his childhood house. He's is in on it with Pierre, and like, yeah,
She sees
fuck
a
it.
picture where Pierre's his father. Like, again, there are more things that could have been as to why they got to the house, as to why the souls were possessed, as to why the house was preserved, but they just never gave you any kind of indication of it.
Uh-huh.
And I was actually hoping when I was like, oh, that's right, there's an end credit. The end credit just shows that the process continues. I was hoping that would at least like answer something where he's like
Yeah.
opening up a book and it's a journal and you can see on the page that it's explaining, like I sent this many and hopefully after doing this many more, I'll have accomplished XYZ.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's just
Another two down. The evil's been suppressed for one more day, and then at least like, oh, he's doing it for a purpose. I don't know. It's something. That end credit scene was bullshit. That's not even an end credit
yeah.
scene. I'm glad I have fast forward functions because if I for a second I thought, I'm assuming you learned that by looking it up later.
No, what I've typically done with watching horror movies now, because it's something Amanda and I just like doing, is I fast forward through the credits
Okay.
just to see if there's anything at the very tail end.
Because watching the movie, the only thing I could assume was that you and Amanda were just standing up for so long, clapping during the credits, that eventually it scrolled so far down that it got to the end and you went, whoa,
Encore,
oh my God, there's another
encore.
scene.
No, yeah, I fast forwarded through the credits.
I'm
I did
kidding.
not need to see.
Yeah, I agree. There also, how many fucking people worked on this movie? That's actually my very first note. Which makes sense because of how much they had to do.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
the credits when they rolled, there was like 9 companies that were like in association with blank, a production with blank, an association with blank, an association with, and I was like, holy
All production
shit.
props stuff. It has to be.
Yeah, it's crazy, but it makes sense why they would put them at the forefront too. That's such a big part of this movie. It's
my
hard.
gosh, yeah.
I can see this movie being looked back on as kind of a pivot for where they're like, oh, this is when they started filming movies underwater for real, like suck it,
Yeah,
James
without
Cameron.
CGI.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're like, we found a way to actually create underwater movies. And again, like to your point, when they were walking across and they're actually in the water with them and they're not in the scuba suits, it becomes holy shit, like that is technically really impressive.
yeah, it's really good.
I just wanted the story because if the story matched, that's a knockout movie. That's an
Yeah,
incredible way to do a horror movie.
this is the Hydrox to some other movies Oreo. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Somebody is gonna see this idea and say, I know how to perfect it. I know how to put the story behind it, and I'll get all the people that did the technical side of it, and then you have a crazy equation because you might even be able to do some kind of I don't know if you could use that effect for space movies for like low gravity scenes and the scuba suits are actually designed to be like space suits, but
Hmm.
I think
Interesting.
there is a way to create a new style of movie genre with this.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe this just had to be someone's first attempt. And that is one of the things that I was reading was they were saying making this movie was like making a movie for the first time because there's no outline for how to build a movie underwater.
Yeah. Hey, maybe Markiplier's Iron Lung will use some of these tactics. Who knows? Have you seen he's making a movie? You saw that?
No, good for
Oh,
him.
yeah, yeah.
I think I had heard about it. I just haven't seen anything on it.
Yeah, he's got a trailer out. It's a teaser trailer. It doesn't really
Okay.
show very much at all, but it looks cool. I like the idea a lot too. It's based on one of the games he played previously, which is
Scare Aquarium.
which is crazy to think about that this dude just made an indie game online that's like, pretty like I would say it's not AAA, but it's not like nothing. It's just like, oh, it's a good game.
Mm.
And now they're making a fucking huge budget movie out of it, and Markiplier's the main star, and it's like, oh, it's fucking crazy. I mean, look at FNAF. Shit like that. We haven't talked about FNAF. Have you watched it yet?
Not yet. I definitely want to watch it
All
though.
right,
I have
all
not
right.
seen that yet.
Talk about it. We'll talk about it eventually. Maybe that should be my suggestion for this week. I don't know.
Ooh,
But anyway,
sweet.
I don't want to move on from the movie just yet. We'll give
Okay,
our ratings
okay.
here, but I did just want to talk about the end. How did you feel about that? How do you feel about her kind of almost escape?
What I kind of liked about it was it didn't just give you that ending of, well, there's the one survivor and she made it out. Because again, it becomes if she does make it out, how does she make it back? He had the keys. Pierre would have been waiting if they had survived So it was one of those. I think the ending made sense in terms of, and looking back to your timing thing, that is another interesting thing to kind of point out, and her not being able to make it. So I thought that they did a good job with not ending it on, there has to be a survivor. Somebody has to be able to make it.
Yeah. I I kind of wish she survived. I think it would have, and that's so weird because like I'm usually the advocate for like darker endings and things like that. Like that.
More realistic,
Yeah,
if you want to call it that.
sure. But the direction this movie was going is, I think I would have been better off with like a I'm cheering, like fuck yeah, like she got out. This is like a schlocky 80s like ending, like yeah, she got away
Yeah.
from the monster. Like I think I would have enjoyed that a little bit more. And especially because of that intro where it's like, if she's at first she's lying about, well, like how I took it, that she's lying about like
Right.
her time and stuff, that it's almost like after the her air tank gets pulled off by the ghosts and she has to
Hmm.
swim up. I was hoping that there would be a moment where like her watch, like after it disconnects, it starts like ticking how long she has without her air thing.
Hmm.
And then it starts reaching like 122, 123, 124. And she's like, and then at 125, 130, she makes it to the top. And then it's like, yeah, like she did it more than she did at the beginning because they
Yeah.
set that up and she did it. And then because this movie almost tried to make it seem like it's an ego thing. I think the movie is trying to do that. I think they're trying to, like with the YouTuber guy. He's kind of supposed to be the amplification of no, like the guy who just wants to do anything for views. So when something starts
Yeah.
to get a little dicey, it's like, oh well, just imagine how many views this can get. And
Yeah.
his comeuppings was to be possessed and stuck down there. And then for her, it was kind of meant to be like I felt like it was almost meant to be like the lie at the very end is what got her killed, because if she had been able to survive for 3 minutes, she would have been able to swim up all the way without the
Okay.
breath.
Okay.
But it doesn't really work. Like so I don't want to say that that's what they were going for. I'm not trying to like blame them and be like, oh, you failed entirely at your fucking job and goal. But it felt like that was a setup for something, and it just never followed through. Like, why focus so much on the time that she breathes, and then that's never brought up again
Yeah.
in the movie? It's kind of weird because he even says it again. He's like, oh well, we have 85% and you can breathe for 3 minutes, or no, we have an hour worth of air and you can breathe for 3 minutes, we'll be fine. Like he outright says it again, so it's like
Yeah.
that 3 minutes is going to come into play, and it never does. And I'm like, why?
It's Henrik's gun.
Exactly, Chekhov's
That-
fish.
That check that one off the list. I got it wrong again.
That's right. All right, let's give our final ratings here. I think
All
we'll
right.
wrap this up here. Do you want to go first or should I?
I think you go first because I want to get your unbiased decision on what you felt this movie was.
I'm acting like I have it written down.
I was gonna say I can't see that if you have something written.
I didn't write down a grade, I'm realizing now. 4 out of 10.
I give it a C because the water.
Oh, God damn it.
No,
Sorry.
No, you're good.
4's a little harsh. No, I gotta go with my gut. 4. A strong 4. Strong 4. But a 4, nonetheless. Yeah. Out of 10.
I give it a soft 6
Okay.
because, and I think a part of that is, I think just I've never seen a movie filmed underwater before. To incorporate that into a horror movie, I think they did the best with what they had. Not to say that it couldn't have been done better, but watching it the second time, although I do feel that the movie was it felt longer than it was than the first time I watched it. Your
Yeah.
first time around watching it, I felt like I was like, this is really engaging. I don't really know what to expect. The second time watching it, like my second view, I probably would have given it closer to a 5. But going based on, how I originally felt when I had first watched it and what I thought the movie did well, I'm going to give it a soft 6.
All right. Yeah, I have to give it a 4 just because there was too many elements of it that pulled me out, and it was really good at making you feel claustrophobic in this house underwater, but almost too much so, where I couldn't, like, I needed breathing room. It's like I said, I almost needed that kind of airspace. Yeah, right. And not even because I felt like, oh God, it's so tight in here. It's just because I felt like I can't see anything. I can't keep track of what room they're in. I can't keep track of who's like in front of who, and like, yeah, it felt like I need a place for them to reset and like collect their thoughts, and then have to be forced to go back into the horror instead of just being always in this like claustrophobic like mess kind of a thing for me. Yeah,
that's fair.
I didn't hate it, didn't love it, didn't even really like it. It was just like, okay.
It happened.
I liked it less than I See You, but I liked it more than Terrorize.
Okay. You gave Terrorize a 10 out of 10.
No, I didn't. I think I gave that a 3. Didn't I give it a 3, I think?
I that might be generous, but yeah, I think it was in the bottom. That I think was your lowest rated movie.
My only 10 out of 10s have been The Big Lebowski and Southland Tales. Pretty sure. Did you? On my letterbox, I changed Southland Tales to a 10 out of a 10.
Oh my God, Letterboxd! Thank you for reminding me. I will update my Letterboxd.
I haven't done it in a minute either, so it's okay.
We're gonna get that updated, and you will shoot. No, I feel like that might be too much work to have like a Neon Valley like letterbox based on the average of our scores.
Oh, we might be able to figure something out there. I'm able to figure something out. You can ask ChatGPT to figure it out for us. I'm sure they can do that.
Oh, I just realized I'm hitting a bunch of things. I was like, I'm gonna like exit the stream on accident and shut my computer off by typing.
It's just like, no! I just lose all the recording.
All right, what do you got for me?
All right. So...
am I still here?
Maybe. I hear you.
Yep.
I can see you.
Okay.
I
clicked
just
something and then I couldn't see myself, but I'm fine.
I just need to check something real quick. Yeah. Yeah, this is perfect. Okay, because this episode will come out on Thanksgiving, so that means next episode will come out on the 30th. So basically almost the 1st of December. Awesome. All right, so in that case... No, man. This is Jim Carrey-sember. Okay, all of my movies are going to be Jim Carrey.
Jim's going to carry us through December?
Yeah, because... while I don't know, but hope that you've seen The Grinch, I would like to watch that this Christmas for Jim Carrey and just talk about it. Okay. The Jim Carrey one? Jim Carrey one.
Yeah, of course I've seen the Jim Carrey.
All right. Dude, I just got to ask. By the way, real quick, I'm probably going to cut this out. Do you remember what movie it was that I said... I feel like recently in like the last episode or the one before, I said a movie that you said you hadn't seen, and it
was
really...
a Jim Carrey one.
No, it wasn't 23, not that one. It was another one that really threw me off, where I was just like, whoa, wait, hold on, you haven't seen this? Like, everyone has seen this. But I can't...
I know it wasn't The Godfather, but was it something like that? The only good news is we have recordings of it.
We do. I just have to listen back, but I can't remember when or what either.
The problem is so many movies that happens with.
I need to start taking better notes. I have notes randomly sprawled on my computer that are like movies you haven't seen, like lists. But that's right. Welcome to Jim. That's right, baby.
Carrey.
Welcome to Jim-sember, baby. Carrey Carrey. Jim-sember.
Nuts.
I like that better. Welcome to Jim-sember. So your movie this week is going to be Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Never heard of that. Okay, hold on. Everybody hold on. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I'm sure there's not too many movies that have that title.
I believe it's on Peacock. For free if you have Peacock, which I know you and Amanda are big Office fans, so I'm assuming you have Peacock.
Yeah, okay. I will watch that movie before our next conversation.
Hell yeah, I think you'll like it. I almost
Okay.
went with another horror movie. I think it's just because we've been in this like
Yeah.
lane,
Hmm.
that I almost went with another one, but I was like, no. Let's take it back a notch.
Yeah.
So this one is a bit more of like a drama, romance, comedy. Yeah, a little bit of a
I
mind
already hate
fuck.
it.
It's an interesting movie. I think you'll like it. I think
Okay.
when you
Don't
get,
talk. You can't talk about it though.
I know. Just when you get into it, you'll be like, this is the most Tyler movie. Like you'll understand why I'm suggesting it.
That sounds like your suggestion so far.
Yeah. But all right. Hey guys, thanks for watching and listening. Yeah, watching for the first time. We didn't even make it a
Woohoo!
big thing that this is our first like visual episode, but whatever. It is.
You're here now, and that's all that really matters.
Anyway, thank you guys. We will see you in the next episode.